Welcome to LOA Today. Walt Thiessen and Louis D'Souza here. Today is Monday, December the 3rd, 2018. It is 8 a.m. New York time. That's 5 a.m. Los Angeles time. It's also 1 p.m. in London, and in Sydney, Australia, it's 12 midnight. So if you're listening from Sydney, Australia, thank you for staying up to do so, because we appreciate that. And this is, of course, your first daily dose of happy, not only for Monday, but for the week. And we always like to get it off to a good start, so that's why we bring Louis in, because he always gets everything off to a good start. Louis, how you doing?
Fantastic, thanks. I'm just going to sneeze. Give me a second.
Oh, well, we'll let you go do that, and I'll just announce a couple things while you're doing that. But no, it's been a crazy kind of interesting week around here. But I'm looking forward to a week where things are looking up. So I'm in a even better mood than I've been lately, and that's a good thing. So that's where I stand. That's all I'm going to say, but that's where I stand.
Fantastic.
And also, we had something interesting happen during yesterday's podcast. I brought up an idea of creating a group called Pivot Pals. And Pivot Pals,
yeah, I've already liked it.
Yeah, I saw that. And
I listened.
The basic idea is people often need to have support. So just like with pen pals, or even like swimming buddies or something like that, you have somebody you can go to if you need a pick-me-up, and you need somebody to kind of help turn your negative thoughts into positive statements, and so on and so forth. So that's what the Pivot Pals is about. And I will post another link in the group chat to the group that we're live streaming to on Facebook.
It sounds like such a great idea.
I think it is, too. I mean, I'm not quite sure how to organize it, to be perfectly honest. But on the other hand, maybe it's not something that needs to be organized. Maybe just providing a place is enough, and people will just kind of self-organize. That's my hope anyway. But we shall see. We're also talking about Jin Shin Jyutsu again, and we've been getting good feedback on that as well, Louis, particularly with the YouTube videos. We've been getting people saying, more please, more please, more please. So,
right.
Yeah, they're liking it. They're liking it a lot. And in fact,
Astrid's website is getting a lot of comments about it as well.
Oh, good. Very good. Excellent. Yeah. In fact, I have alluded to the fact that Louise has been dealing with a medical issue, which I still am not ready to talk about live on the air, but I contacted Astrid about it, and she suggested the basic thing for doing getting the whole body going, so to speak. And so we've done that a few times. And
Main Central.
Main Central, that's right. Main Central, yes. Which I still don't understand, but I guess it's one of those things you really don't have to understand. You just kind of do it, and you let it do its thing. You just do it. And I was also, I wanted to ask you too, I know you went over this a few times now about what the five fingers are, and I remember that the thumb and the forefinger were worry and fear. What are the others again? I can't remember what they are.
You don't remember what that is?
Oh, that one, yeah, I guess that one anybody can remember, right? That's why I'm pissed off. I am so angry. Yeah, I should have remembered that one. I'm sorry. Not that I use that one a lot, but... Oh, that's funny. But what are the other two again? The ring finger and the pinky finger?
Well, the ring finger you put on when you get married, and that causes all the grief in the world. No, not for everybody.
Oh, no. That's not true.
It's your grief finger. It's your grief finger.
Oh, grief. Oh, okay. No,
so the way Abraham says you choose your partners is somebody who will mirror and bring out stuff in you. So, yeah, your partners do tend to give you some good feedback.
Oh, yes. Very good feedback. I'm very grateful for mine, that's for sure. I don't climb onto the bandwagon that says that marriage causes grief. I think people cause grief in marriage, but I don't think marriage itself, I think marriage is actually a very good thing.
That reminds me of an old joke. It says something like, sex in cars causes children, but children in cars cause... No, I can't remember what it's... It'll come back to me.
Okay, that's fine. One thing also I want to... I've got to get the thing published in the group here, but I also want to encourage people. This is not just for us to talk about Jin Shin Jyutsu. This is for people to ask questions about it, because Louis is one of the best people to ask, and he's here to answer questions. So if you've had any questions, any thoughts, any concerns, anything that you've wondered about, and you're listening to the live the live stream of the podcast as we're recording here and live streaming to the Law of Attraction Changed My Life group. And we do have people who are tuning in already. Feel free, type something into the comments section. I'll be monitoring, and I'll pass them along to Louie, and Louie can give you the ultimate leading edge explanation
to the life, universe, and everything.
That's right. Yes.
What's it? 42. It's 42. There we go.
Douglas Adams doesn't have anything on Louie. I mean, he's just like. But
I don't know if I mentioned it before, but I got the book Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and I was in the back of the car with my parents on the way to Cape Town, and it was just the three of us, Mom, Dad, and me, and I was absolutely laughing myself silly reading this book. and they would turn around and say, "What is so funny?" Tell us, because it's so ridiculously funny. And I said, "Well, the Vogan construction fleet hung in the air like a brick wind." And they're like, "Huh?
What are you talking about?" Yeah, it's one of those books that you really can't. You try to share it, but if you share it, all you do is get blank looks. Like, I don't know what you're talking about, and your response is, "Well, I don't know either." They don't know what they're talking about, but it's still funny.
It's the best rubbish you'll ever read. Is the only way I explain to people.
This is true. It is a weird sci-fi trip. It's just crazy. It's insane. And I have to admit, one of my favorite characters is Marvin. Because he's
Android, absolutely. I got the brain the size of a planet, and they asked me to make tea.
Crazy. Is that the one where he says that it wouldn't bother him if he burst into flame? Is it from that book? I can't remember if it's that book or if it's another book. No, it's not that one. Oh, okay. There are a number of sci-fi books where you end up with having a human and a robot in space having conversations. I couldn't remember if it was that one, but there's another book, and I can't remember which one it was, where there's a human and a robot. They both end up in the hold of a spaceship, and they don't know each other, and they're both the human's kind of uncomfortable, and the robot's kind of smirking at him, and the human says, "Would you mind if I smoke?" And the robot wrathfully says, "It wouldn't bother me if you burst into flame." That kind of ended the conversation.
I'm not human. I love it.
Oh my.
So, yeah, the grief finger we've been through, and now the little one is pretense.
Pretense.
So if, your cup of tea... So what it's about is, if you try too hard, you don't achieve your goal. More haste, less speed concept, etc., etc. So when you feel you're trying very hard to heal or trying very hard to fix something in your life and it's not working, that's the time to hold your little finger.
Okay. The pretense finger. I'm going to give you the pretense finger. No, it doesn't have the same feel to it.
It's in a different level to the other fingers.
Completely different level, yeah. Oh, that's funny.
The only way I remember it is that cup of tea.
Well, we got that from you guys. I mean, you're the experts on that, so. Oh, that's funny.
Make it until you make it, man.
Yeah, right. Well, actually, that raises an interesting question, because often we're taught fake it till you make it, right? It's a way of kind of bypassing being in a bad place and getting
this placebo thing, aren't you?
I love placebo. Placebo is one of the best things that was ever invented.
But do you understand what it is?
I don't think anybody understands what it is.
Yes, it is. It's very simple. I told you before.
Okay. Well, tell us again.
It's man coming to understand that thoughts create your reality.
I can't disagree with that. I think that's a good explanation. Yeah, that is what it is.
So you were talking to Joel, and he was talking about a study where they're studying the placebo effect from the point of view of it being the medicine.
Right, which I loved.
I love that too. But if they were studying thoughts create your reality, I think they'd be getting further down the line.
Well, that's true, but we also teach that if you're in depression, you don't try to leap directly to joy. You kind of climb the scale. They're climbing the scale right now. I mean, I got to give them credit, because for years they were stuck. They were stuck deep down in, we have to put a pill inside you. They have finally climbed out of that. I'm going to give them credit for that. I don't want them to stay there. I don't want them to stay in the placebo level. I want to move on, but hey, they got to get some credit for that, I think.
Oh, well, you can always play it slow if you want to.
Oh, that's funny.
What can you say?
Oh, God. Oh, let's see. So let's see. Anybody? Nobody's asking questions here. I guess everybody has all the questions answered. You know,
I love that.
They figured it all out. They understand it. Thoughts create things. We're done. Well, this has been great, Louis. I'll see you again next week.
Yeah, I know.
We'll tell you what. I'll ask a couple questions or two. Maybe I can come up with something that will stimulate something in people's minds and so forth.
That Main Central we can go over a little bit as well.
Let's go over Main Central and let's talk a little bit about. Talk about healing in general, but also, is Jin Shin Jyutsu strictly a healing art, or is there more to it than that? Is it something that addresses a larger area of life than just healing?
I would never call Jin Shin Jyutsu a healing art, although many would.
Okay.
I would call it an art of harmonizing, which, going to Abraham Hicks's philosophy, is an art of eliminating resistance, is getting you into more allowing.
Right. Okay.
So yes, it's far greater than a healing art in my mind, because it gets to the core of everything. Mm-hmm. So if you look at it this way, is your higher self, your bigger self, is always in harmony. It lives in a positive environment where no negativity can come from. Like Abram is saying, I'll never come down to your level because I can't. I'm only positive.
Right.
Because your higher self is only positive. Mm-hmm. So taking that on board is, if you remove resistance, it's impossible not to heal, isn't it?
Once you take away resistance, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's your natural default state is to be in harmony.
Which means that most of the time we're not natural.
So it means that we create disharmony through negative thinking. That's
true. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So now let's tie in Jin Shin Jyutsu. Where does that fit into this puzzle?
Well, Jin Shin Jyutsu brings relief and release. The amount of times I've held positions and you hear this, it's almost like a knot in your solar plexus, and it goes ding, and it opens up, or your chest is tight and it goes ding, and it just relaxes and you can breathe deeper and easier. Or, I had those bunions on the feet, and when the energy gets flowing down, I don't have any bunions, and then no athlete's foot as well, and so it goes on and on and on. When you take away the resistance, it brings harmony. So Jin Shin Jyutsu to me is the biggest tool with meditation, with stilling the mind, with focusing more on what I want, and that has been allowed me to remove resistance, to bring in the allowing and the free flow of the balance of who you are.
Okay. And for somebody who's wanting to take their first steps with it, has never really done anything, maybe has read an article or two, doesn't really know much about it, hasn't been to any workshops, hasn't been on a 5-day or anything like that, how do they begin?
So I've said this before, but just start holding the fingers. So when you start studying Jin Shin Jyutsu, I went on a 1 day, I went on 5 days, I've been on another 3 days, and then in the end I've come back to just holding my fingers. So sometimes we don't appreciate how powerful the simplicity is of just holding the fingers.
Well, it does seem rather, benign.
Okay.
Like,
what
could that actually do?
And you would not do it that fast.
How long?
You would do it a lot slower.
How slow would you do it?
So you'd hold this for 10 minutes, maybe 10 minutes each finger, 5 minutes each finger. Okay. And some fingers will feel better, so you'll start feeling more relief and release from some fingers than other fingers. And those are the ones I would stay on longer. Because what you're looking for in Jin Shin is relief and release. Okay? And if you're getting that, you're heading slap bang in the right direction, because you're tapping into the greater power of who you are. Because you've got relief and release from resistance, you're now getting harmonized, and your core automatically wants to to balance yourself. So all it's doing is going straight out there, and got no resistance anymore. I'll put everything in balance. Like my nose started aligning, my backache completely removed, my alopecia, my hair, and my that I lost 50-cent piece, no hair in the head in 5 places, all grew back again. I don't look so stressed anymore. I feel more calm. I'm more relaxed. I'm a nicer person to be around, blah, 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 blah. So all these things happen when you get more in harmony. Now, not only Jin Shin Jyutsu will do it for you, many things will do it for you. And I've mentioned this on numerous occasions. I don't want people to think this is the only way, because you will find that different people are drawn to this art, different people are drawn to that art, different people are drawn to Jin Shin Jyutsu. And, well, a lot of the other ones are actually called techniques. Okay? If you looked at acupuncture and acupressure, they're very much techniques.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Very, very much techniques. And you need to do a lot of studying to understand those millions of points on the body, know exactly how to put the needles in or where to hold tiny little points with your fingers. So working on the meridian system is different to working on the acupuncture acupressure point system, which is different to working on the Jin Shin Jyutsu system. And many people will say this one's better and that one's better. At the end of the day, I find myself going through different ones to get to where I am now. And I've been on Jin Shin Jyutsu for about 20 years, so it satisfied me for a long time. So, yeah, it's just really, I want to encourage people to find their own path. And if this is one they're interested in, yes, I can answer questions on it. So please, I don't see any questions there at the moment.
No, somehow we seem to have satisfied everybody, which is kind of unusual around here.
It's not a problem.
I'm not quite sure how that happened.
We can move on so many different directions.
It's really rather surprising, especially considering the feedback we've gotten. But maybe we have answered all the questions. Maybe people get it. Maybe they get it better than I do. Because I mean, when you talked about, I think you said each finger has like 14,400 different things.
144,000, yeah.
144,000 associated with it. I'm thinking that's one heck of a finger. How on earth does that all work? I have no clue. I went out and borrowed the book from the library and read it, and that gave me no clue. I had no idea what it was all about. And so I kind of fell back into the default position.
All you really need to get from that, Walt, is that the body is very complex.
No kidding. Thank you for that bit of clarity. I appreciate that.
Just in case you didn't know.
Right.
So we teach in Jin Shin there's a main energy. It goes up the back and it comes down the front, right? And that's the main central. So that's like your core energy. That's like Source's main energy that's starting to manifest physically in a physical body. And when you're doing the main central, and maybe I'll only do 1 or 2 steps in it because you can only see them, is you take your right hand, you put on your head, and the left one you put on your forehead. Okay? Now this starts helping your strong main central energy work better. Right? And if it has any blockages, then it'll release them. If it doesn't have any blockages, you won't notice too much. And then you go into your nose, all right, which sounds quite strange. Not many people use the nose.
I was doing that with Louise, and her nose immediately started to itch.
Yeah, that's what can happen. It can get a tingly feeling, can get itchy. A lot of things can happen. Then means to hold it for a bit longer. That's what I would suggest.
Oh, really?
And then you go to your chest in between there.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll just do those 3 steps for the moment. Then it goes further down, but just if you do those 3 steps. Now, a relation of mine, my brother-in-law, he works at a factory and he works all nights and all the rest of it, all weird, wonderful hours. But when he comes home, he could never get to sleep. So he learned the main central, and he's used it now for about 10 years or so. And whenever he starts the main central, he falls asleep like that.
Really?
He said, because you're right out of kilter with day, night, time, and all the rest of it, he was really struggling to get to sleep. So he was just holding this, and he's out. And he's,
Wow.
I asked him the last time I was in Austria. I said to him, do you still do it? And he said, yeah, absolutely. I said, I can't get to sleep without it. So, it's really great that people are using it and using it all around the world. Small little villages in Austrian Alps and They actually had a 5-day in that small village, a 5-day course in that small village that I go to every year. So it's interesting that I picked up my wife who came from a village, and I met her on a Jin Shin course.
Oh, really?
And she was brought up with people doing Jin Shin around her. So
no
it was
kidding.
really quite interesting. Yeah.
Wow. Oh, my goodness. I didn't know that. Well, that also...
I told you the story of how we met, didn't I? I don't know if you remember.
You may have. That's quite possible. I hear so many stories, I'm not sure anymore.
But because it was on a Jin Shin course, it was quite interesting. I'd broken up about 4 months prior to that with a previous girlfriend, and I was not looking for a relationship. I'd had enough of relationships.
I know that one. I know that. I've told that one, actually, yes.
And of course, from a law of attraction point of view, that's the perfect place to be in to find a partner.
It really is. It works beautifully. Yeah.
It works absolutely brilliantly. So
talk about releasing resistance.
My wife Annette, and I immediately said, I want to get to know that person straight away. So at lunchtime, I sat opposite her and I started chatting to her. And then on the second day, so there's about 50 people on this Jin Shin course, and we had a bowl for the reviewers of a table number, and we had a bowl for the new people with table numbers. So on the second day, after I put my eyes on Annette, I picked up table number 6, and I went there, and I found out she had picked up table number 6 too, and I said, wow, this is cool. So we get to work on each other and get to know each other a bit better. And then the next day, I pick out a number again. I said, wow, table number 6, 2 days in a row. What are the chances? Like, this is impossible. Go to table number 6. Guess who's there as well?
Gee, who could possibly guess?
Who could guess? And double 6 is a good number. 3 6s is not so great, but 2 6s is balance and harmony. So, by the end of the week, I said to her, let me drive you to the station, because she didn't have a car or anything, and then I said to her, it's late. Don't you want to stay over? And she never left.
Wow.
2 days later, we knew we were going to get married and have kids.
My goodness, that's quick.
7 days.
Yeah. So it gives new meaning to a 7-day course, I tell you. I can't say it was that quick with Louise.
Yeah, you might find your life partner at a Jin Shin Jyutsu.
Who knew, right? I mean,
you never know.
I especially like what you said earlier, though, that you're in your best place when you have given up. When you've given up on relationships and so forth, because you're giving up on all the resistance that you've built up over the years, and so that just kind of disappears, and then things start to happen. The strange part for me when I met Louise was I didn't know anything about law of attraction, Jin Shin Jyutsu, none of this stuff. I knew absolutely nothing about it, and was even less likely to believe any of it. So when I had finally given up, and a month later I'm introduced to Louise, my first reaction was to say, oh yeah, here we go again. I mean, I was convinced the pattern was going to continue, because that's what the pattern was, right? You meet somebody, you get your heart broken, you go on to somebody else, you meet somebody, you get your heart broken, and you just keep going and going and going. So, yeah, to have actually completely given up, I didn't realize that giving up was going to make that big of a difference, and I only figured that out many years later. But giving up really does make a difference. And you have to really give up. You can't just say, okay, I give up, and then wait to see what happens.
Exactly. The universe hears what you mean, not what you say.
That's right. Yeah. You have to actually mean it. And I meant it. I was done. I mean, I was so done, Louis. Like you,
I was so done too.
I was done. Like, take me out of the oven. I am done. You put me in there too long, I'm going to overcook. Whereas that the story about the saint who was the cook, he was the chef, and they were burning him at the stake, and after the fire had been going for a bit, he says, "Okay, turn me over. I'm done on that side."
Reminds me of the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. When you go to the restaurant at the end of the universe, this creature comes up to you and said, "What part of me would you like?"
That's right.
Want the rump?
I have to admit, I don't think I really want to go to that restaurant, to be perfectly honest. Craziness, absolute craziness. But yes, it does make a big difference to let go. And if Shin Jyutsu is all about letting go of resistance, Certainly, that's big because, I mean, that's probably the core of like 98% about what gets talked about in law of attraction groups on Facebook and on the show and anywhere else anybody else is talking about, or the people who are debunking it. Everybody's talking about it in one way or another. So releasing resistance is big. One of the things I've actually been trying fingers a little bit, hold a finger. I haven't gone for 10 minutes. To me, it seems stupid. I haven't been able to get over the stupid feeling yet. But, to the degree that I've been doing it, I've noticed two things. One is I feel a small degree of relaxation. And the second thing I feel is disappointment. Like, that's it? There's nothing else? I was expecting clouds to open or something.
Did I tell you how long I've been studying it? Did I tell you how many hours I've put in?
I'm not sure if you have, actually, but I assume it's a lot because you're a thorough person.
So after my first 5-day, I mentioned to you I woke up at 4 o'clock every morning, and from 4 to 6, that's 2 hours every day for 365 days. I did Jin Shin Jyutsu. And then from 6 to 7, I slept and had the most amazing dreams and vivid and clear and relaxed feeling that you can ever have. That was just the beginning. That's what got my nose aligned, my hair right, my back sorted. And, they got all the basics out the way, And I didn't even know there were problems that it solved, It was like, oh, my God, I didn't realize I had pain there, but that's gone. But I didn't realize I was suffering with that there, and that's gone. And I didn't realize that freckle was there, and it's gone. And on my arm where they had the injections for the what do they call those endless injections they give you for measles and mumps and
vaccines.
Vaccines, yeah. I had all those marks on my arm for vaccines. They're all gone, vanished. It's like, wow, all these things are just going, and I don't know what I'm doing.
Which is interesting because, I had previously framed it as being a healing art, and you kind of said, no, it's more like a harmonizing art. But the fact is, you didn't know that all these things were going to happen, which means you didn't go into it with the idea of healing. You went into it with a different idea. What was your idea going into it?
I went in very, very, very strongly for relief and release because I was a wound-up, tense individual.
Oh, okay.
Physically, emotionally, and mentally. So I went in there to unwind. I went into it and when I was feeling the relief and release, it's like, oh, that's nice. I want another one. I want another one. And, those people that know how to meditate, they live in that released state, when they can block off the world completely. You can touch them, push them, hit them, do anything, and they won't know anything's happened. They're completely oblivious to it. They are in a mindless vortex, pure positive energy place. And, I've touched them into that now and again, but I'm definitely striving. No, I don't like the word striving or working. I'm focused on increasing the time frame there. I'm specifically playing with this because these are words a lot of people would use.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I'm wanting you to show from not what you don't want, but what you want and how the words look like.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
So focusing, directing, spending more time with less or no thoughts. Again, I've used the word no. So just the harmonized state of being, the balanced state of being is where you want to play, how you want to get there. So if you wanted to look at how good I am at manifesting, you just look at how many people I draw towards me to talk about the rules to the game of life, because I don't like using law of attraction, because law of attraction is a limited version of what Abram teaches.
What do you mean by that?
Your emotions or your guidance system, to me, is not in a direct correlation to the law of attraction. Fits in, it works, okay, but it's not the basis of the law of attraction. It is more information.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Talk about that a little bit, because that has meaning for you that I think is eluding me. I mean, I can tell they're not identical, but it seems to me more to you than it means to me, so tell me more.
So I don't like going around saying I'm teaching the law of attraction, because teaching the law of attraction is only part of what I teach.
Okay.
If I teach your emotions or your guidance system, I don't quite see that as the law of attraction. I see that as the rules to the game of life.
Okay.
which includes the law of attraction. It includes your emotions or your guidance. It includes every subject's two subjects, which could be related back to the law of attraction. So yeah, it's to me a more of a package deal rather than a specific teaching the law of attraction.
Okay, yeah, well, that makes sense. I mean, if we're talking about climbing a mountain, we don't actually have to spend a whole lot of time on the law of gravity, even though it plays a significant role in the whole thing.
So the law of attraction, you know what I encourage people to do? I'd love them to phone in or to type chat, or I prefer them to connect directly, is I'd love to shore people up on their understanding of the law of attraction, or to the rules to the game of life. Because I feel a lot of people have got bits and pieces of it, but they haven't got the whole mesh together. And when you put it together, it is so powerful that you will never ask another question of another individual. You'll never say, I don't know this. I don't know that.
That's quite a
I
claim.
don't have the answer to this. Okay, because when you understand the rules to the game, you can work out your own answer. So I was teaching the law of attraction for many years in the sauna, many years. Okay.
Which is an interesting place to teach it, by the way. I mean, that's not exactly the first choice that most people would make.
Rules to the game of life.
Taught in a sauna.
You've got people captivated and captured for a little while. Can't get away. No. The group is now, I think, 16 strong that we've built up, the WhatsApp group, which we call Spartans now.
Okay. And
I'm sure some of them will watch this and they'll say, hey guys, the best guys out there. Fantastic guys. So, talking about one of the dudes that are there, he said to me, Louis, I keep on asking you to answer this question and you don't. And he said, but I've thought about everything you've taught me and I've now made my own answer. And I said, yes, now you're winning, now you got it. I don't need to give you answers. I need to help you understand the rules. I need to get you clarity of how everything fits together and works, and then you will be able to get your own answer. I don't need to be there.
I think a lot of this has to do with self-confidence, too. Because if you're going to be the person who comes up with the answers because you know the rules, it means that you're confident in your knowledge of the rules, and you're confident in how you can apply them. Your
confidence goes through the roof. I don't know if it comes across in me, but I'm really confident. And I enjoy that confidence, and I milk it, and I live in it. And I understand that every subject's two subjects, and some people might think ego, and I would say, think ego. No, it's your problem. Me, I'm thinking about the best part of it. Ego's actually got two sides. It's got the confident, beauty, powerful side to it.
Good point.
Okay. And ego is not all bad. And even the guy who designed it, who was it again? Psychologist.
Freud,
if I remember correctly, did say there's two sides to the ego.
He did
actually see it.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, the world has just spent way too much time, as it does most things, on the negative side of things. And now ego is more synonymous with negativity than it is with its alter ego, or the other side. I don't know what alter ego is. What they use.
I always thought the Freud system was a little bit strange, I thought. But the thing that kind of amazed me is people were all worried about the ego, and I'm thinking, why aren't you paying more attention to the superego if there's something you want to be worried about?
Is it the superego? That's a good one. Okay. Exactly. So that's the precise point, is focusing on what you don't want or focusing on what you want.
Yes.
And every subject's two subjects. So that's exactly how it works.
Yeah.
And it's really incredible when you start spending more time on what you want, your goals manifest easier. Your confidence increases. Your ability to love becomes greater. And I will replace the word love. Somebody said to me in the sauna, do you love your wife?
Interesting question. I wonder what that had behind it.
That's because I pushed them to ask the most challenging questions out there. And I said to them, this was my answer. This happened last night. It was the night before. I said to them, I don't like using the word love anymore. So what do you mean? I said, it's not a word I'm comfortable with and like anymore, because love is more focused vibrationally on what you don't want, or lack of love, than the having of love.
Interesting.
All right. So the passion of love, the enjoyment of love, the exuberance of love, the sensuality of love, the passion of love, I'll go back to that word, is not focused on very much anyway. You look at any pop song, all focused on lack, loss.
This is true.
At least 90% of them. So I said to them, if you ask me, do I appreciate my wife massively? Yes, I do. Now, non-appreciation is not really a word that is used, or strongly vibrational. And there's a reason why Abram uses it instead of gratitude, because ungrateful is quite a strong word. So you start becoming very nitpicky with the words you choose to use when you are focused clearly on what you want. All right. If they said to me, do I have a lot of clarity with my wife? I said, absolutely. They said, do I have a lot of respect for my wife? Absolutely.
So let's go back to clarity for a second. That's a word that's always intrigued me because Abraham puts it in the top tier. And
yes, and to me, it's my biggest one, me personally.
Because when I first saw the list, I thought to myself, well, that's kind of a peculiar place to put clarity. Why would they put clarity up there? Because for me, clarity had never had that kind of a super wow feeling to it. It always had been like a mediocre feeling. So why do you put clarity up there? And I'm changing my view on that, by the way. But I'm curious to know, why that resonates so well with you.
So clarity. What can't clarity give you?
You're asking me to look at the wrong end of the stick. I can't go there.
So, spending 14 seconds on that end of the stick could be very powerful in clarifying.
Oh, well, okay. I see what you're saying. Yes. There is a contrast.
Don't get too worried about that end of the stick and push it away.
Okay. What does clarity not do? I draw a blank on that one. I can't think of anything.
It gives you everything.
Yeah?
Yeah. So what has clarity done for me? When I was young, I was always scared of death. I saw it as a black wall. So I wanted clarity on that, and I've had numerous experiences, clarity on that, from out of body to helping people leave their body when they die, when I'm out of my body, to the Abraham Hicks teachings, which your source energy is your higher self, and that's what you just drop the physical. It all makes total sense to me. It's so clear now. There's no illusions. There's no none of the problems I had with the whole issue of being brought up Catholic and seeing death. You either go to hell, purgatory, or heaven. And I was never sure I was going to heaven. I was never sure I was going to heaven.
I was kind of glad that I wasn't brought up Catholic, because when I heard about the levels there, I asked myself, and what were the differences again? Because it seems even heaven isn't all that great from the way they describe it. So what is the good part?
Come on, don't you want to sit in the cloud and watch the world go by? Get fed and
Not really.
No.
It doesn't sound like all that much fun. It sounds like boredom, actually.
So clarity has given me immense confidence. And you know what confidence gives you? It gives you the ability to give to other people.
Yeah, that's true.
You don't hold something back. When you're really, really confident, I just tell people as it is, I don't hide, I don't shirk, I don't play around. I'm not the compassionate kind. So if somebody's really looking for the compassionate kind, don't come to me. And I would say don't go to Abram either. Not hugely compassionate.
Okay.
I kind of mirror myself a lot from the way Abram presents and teaches everything. So when you don't see anything as broken, when you don't see anybody as broken, when you see with clarity that they've put all those bits and pieces of their life together to get to that crappy place so that they can grow, you don't feel sorry for them. You think, wow, how did you get all those pieces together to get to that place? My gosh, you are brilliant. all right, which is a very different way of looking at somebody. It's a very different way. And you can really help them from that point of view because you're not sucked down into the mud with them. You're not playing in the mud and saying, oh, sorry, is that a terrible place you're in, and we really need to get you out of there. None of that rubbish. Never hear Abrams say anything like that to anybody.
Mm. That's true.
Okay. They always turn around this tinnitus and they explain that this is a great connection to source that you have because you've got tinnitus, but you're hearing the negative side because you're focused more on what you don't want. So you've got a strong connection, but if you turn it around, you hear the celestial music as opposed to the noise. Okay, so they take
I love that. That's
anything. Good. They take anything and they turn it around. They show you that you've got the strong connection, but you're focused on what you don't want rather than what you want, and then they get you to shift, to shift. And it's the same with Jin Shin. You've got all these barriers, you've got all these resistances out there, and oftentimes you're not even fully aware of them and all the rest of it. But if you lay new pipes, use your hands as jumper cables to get the energy flowing, you get the flow from source coming through, and it invigorates you, and it excites you, and it harmonizes you, and little problems vanish, and everything comes into a better place. And it's really difficult to, I find challenging to get people who are stuck in the old modality of thinking that you're broken and somebody needs to fix you, point of view, to start seeing it from this point of view. But if they make the shift, I don't like using the word healing, the harmonizing that happens is on unprecedented proportion and in a balanced way and a natural progression and the next logical step as opposed to blowing you apart and trying to put you together.
I think part of what happens here is that we are so used to using other approaches, or maybe not having any other approaches at all, maybe just doing religion, whatever, that produce at best mediocre results and often no results. And so we have this history. Each person's history is a little bit different, but we all have this history, or these histories, I guess, of things don't always work out for me, which is the diametric opposite of what Abraham teaches, but nevertheless, that's what our histories teach us. So somebody comes along and says, well, here's this Jin Shin Jyutsu, and it got me right into harmony. I'm getting all these great effects and so forth. And the first thought is, yeah, right, sure. Yeah, heard that one before. Just not belief, disbelief. And that could be quite a bit
disbelief of thoughts that you don't want.
Mm-hmm.
And then the clarity comes to you that thoughts create your reality. And that has massive ripple effects. If I can get people to start understanding that they have created everything or allowed everything to happen in their life, then I get the shifts that and the self-empowerment that helps them really, really move forward in ways and means that I can't even begin to understand because I'm not them. I'm just have a passion for sharing the way it is and letting people use that information to do what the hell they want. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
But I enjoy talking about this. So my passion, my enjoyment, my thrill comes from just, hey, look at it from a different perspective, guys. What about this? What about that? And I said to a guy the other day, I said, I'm probably the most dangerous person you'll ever meet. He said, what do you mean? It's one of the spa Spartans. I said, I change people's beliefs.
What did he say? I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Nothing. He looked at me blank.
Oh, okay. You have a history of ending conversations that I can tell.
Think about it for a second.
That's funny, though. It's a strange
thing. It's true. If you change somebody's belief, they can change their entire lives.
Well, I'm going to ask you a question along that line.
Than anybody.
Because I came to the conclusion a long time ago that I can't change anyone's belief, that they can only change their own beliefs. But you seem to believe you can change their beliefs, so tell me about that.
No, I can't. I help people allow themselves to change beliefs is the modified correct version of the statement.
Oh my God, we have a politically correct side.
Excellent.
But it's true.
No, it's a very valid point. I don't change anybody's beliefs. I watch them change their own.
It's one of the most interesting / annoying things about doing podcasts or being a coach or whatever is recognizing that what we're really trying to do is to help people do what they want to do to change their beliefs.
Exactly.
And it takes some discipline to stay in that mindset.
To go back to the sauna, there was this guy who said he read an article. I don't know if I've mentioned it before, but it's left a stark impression on my mind of I won't say anything until I tell the story. So he said it was in the newspaper, and he read it, and it was a study done with pedophiles, and they lined up 9 girls behind the glass, and the pedophiles looked through the glass at the 9 girls, and they came in individually. And each one of them were asked which one of the girls would they choose. And out of the 12, I think it was 12, pedophiles, they all chose the same girl.
Really?
Individually, etc. They all chose the same girl.
Were the people doing the study able to discern why they were choosing the same girl?
I've never seen the study. I should spend a couple of seconds on the internet trying to find it. I haven't done it yet, but this showed to me the proof of the law of attraction.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you sat down the one girl they chose, you would see vulnerability.
I'm sure that's true.
I'm sure it's true. I can't prove it. It's just a pure theoretical discussion. But I'm sure if I sat down with that one girl and the others to see how confident they are, you would get to see that vulnerability. So when my daughter goes out...
That's an interesting thing I want to touch on there, too, because the way we're using the word vulnerability is the way it's usually used. And in this case, it means... I want to say it as positively.
More focused on what you don't want.
More focused on what you don't want, yeah. There's an awful lot of that in this meaning of the word vulnerability. Now, there is another meaning for the word vulnerable, and it's a word that is important to an intimate relationship, but it's a different concept. It's a different feel. It's a different meaning. It's a different experience, and it deserves its own word. I mean, I've never been able to figure out, how do I label them differently, but they really should be labeled differently because they're entirely different.
Relationship. What does that
mean? What would be a better word for that?
Vulnerability is attractive. So
yeah. I mean, I've never been able to find one, but it really is of an entirely different character.
I've ever been blamed for being vulnerable in a relationship or otherwise.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe some people want to play that game. Open, maybe another word for it. Open.
Yeah. There needs to be something that distinguishes the negative energy from the positive energy, and one of these days...
Well, every subject's 2 subjects, so if you tear the word vulnerable down, I'm sure somebody can come up with the clarity on the other side.
We'll make that our homework assignment.
Stimulate my juices too much to do it.
Yeah, apparently it's not really important to you. I guess it's important to me just because I've interacted with enough people in the law of attraction groups who tended toward that negative side of the vulnerable, and I wanted to find a way to positively show them the way out without making them feel like I was attacking them for vulnerability. And it's a tightrope. It's a tightrope to walk, and it's a tough one. That's why I was hoping you might have some sort of insight on that, but that's right.
My insight is to build your confidence and your clarity, because, as I say, when you're really clear and really confident, there's almost nothing you can't give. You don't feel there's a lack in you.
This is true, yeah.
You don't feel any lack or any...
It's like what Abraham says, you really can't give love, you really can't give energy until you're in the high vibration place. Because otherwise there's nothing to give. And it makes total sense.
You can give negative energy. You can. just not particularly valuable, I think.
I suppose. I mean, I'm not sure that you can really give energy that's negative because I don't really believe in negative energy. I believe in energy that's strong or weak, positive or negative. To me, negative means that it's solo vibration that doesn't do much.
My story about being in Scotland and this guy got extremely angry with me, thought I was a racist, and literally the waves of anger that flowed out of him made my knees shiver, and I came weak, and it was very powerful, very, very powerful. I don't know. It's just energy that is focused on what it doesn't want in a very powerful way, and I believe you can do that. I've seen it. I don't believe it's of great value to anybody.
Well, it has some value. It's contrast value, but other than that,
contrast value, yes, contrast value.
Yeah.
And really, that's a very important point. Is contrast value. A lot of people don't really get it because recently I've been a bit sick. And when I got better, the feeling was just so elatory.
Mm.
Okay, I wasn't that sick, but the contrast, and I'm always enjoying it. That's why I like getting sick.
I love it. You don't hear that every day, I kind of like getting sick.
People are scared of sickness. I haven't learned to appreciate it yet. It's your expansion tool. It's really like my brother, Astrid's husband. He phoned me up, and I've mentioned this once before, but he was absolutely cold, flu to the hilt, and you could hear it in the voice, and you could hear it everywhere, and it was really, really unpleasant place. And I said to him, Anthony, that's a great place to be. He said, what are you talking about? I said, haven't you noticed that the ailments that you've had before, the long-term ailments, the sore hip or the knee or the back or, etc., or something that's been bothering you. Haven't you noticed that since you've got this tremendously strong cold and flu, that it's not there anymore? He said, oh, no, it's rubbish. And he phoned me back the next day and he said, no, I've been thinking about what you said. And, there was this and this and this and that. And I was like, Interesting, isn't it? So what happened? Do you see what happened there?
Well, he shifted, but he didn't realize that he shifted.
And when the cold went away, what happened to those long-term ones?
I don't quite understand what your question is.
So the long-term ailments which vanished in the...
Oh, I see. Perceptively, I'm not sure that he made the connection until you made the connection for him. I think for him, they were all disconnected.
What I'm trying to point out is they often come back again.
Yeah.
Okay, because of your temporary distraction of cold and flu that is so overwhelmingly focused, the other ones are allowed to release.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Okay, and once it goes away, the old habits, old thought patterns which created the ailments in the body tend to come back.
Yeah.
But I know we're almost time out now, so
we got a few minutes left.
It's an interesting point to put how important something like you were talking on the podcast. I listened to, I don't know when it was, over the weekend. You were talking about laughter and laughter healing people, etc.
Friday, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it was to me logical that when you get enough distraction in one area, that the other place will allow you healing. Mm-hmm. And I find Jin Shin really does that as well. It allows you to really distract you significantly enough to allow the release and the relief
interesting
to happen.
Yeah. Which is the same thing.
And it's another form of getting that relief and release.
It's true. Distraction of all kinds is a great way. It's kind of like knocking us off being off balance, which is a really strange phrase, but that's really what it amounts to. Knocking us off of being off balance, which is a way of getting back on balance.
Balance. Yeah, you've got it.
It's
because when you get that clearly, well, you're understanding how the contrast is your teacher.
Mm-hmm. Contrast is the teacher.
Clearer and clearer to you.
Actually, we do have about 3 or 4 minutes to go, and I've been wanting to ask you this to get your take on it. The idea of contrast as expansion. And it was a question, I think we actually discussed it one of the very first episodes we did, but I want to bring it up again now that I have a better understanding of Jin Shin and expecting to hear that you're going to tie that in some way, which you may not. You may go off in a different direction because I can never predict where you're going. I don't think you can even predict where you're going. But
No, I don't. I let it flow.
But what do you think expansion actually is? What is doing the expanding, and what does it mean to expand?
It's the question you and I want to ask Abram, isn't it?
Yeah.
So expansion, as I mentioned once, I think to Joel, because he threw the question back at me. He said, "What do you believe?"
Right.
Because I was really trying to understand. Okay, Abram says we all expand. We're expanding, so we expand the whole. So the whole is only one real criteria is endless expansion. Okay, so my higher self is part of the whole, which endlessly wants to expand. So, yeah, and then we're expanding, man.
It sounds like something out of the 1970s. Expand your consciousness.
And then?
Then, yeah, that's right. Okay, so what's next? I guess that's the point, really.
More expansion.
That's right. I guess that's the point, though. What's next is the question. Anytime we're doing expanding, we're basically reaching for it. What do I want to do next? That's what's next.
Yeah.
Because
there's no limit to. Abram says you can be or do or have anything you want. So that is all part of the expansion, and you can either have it in joyfully or you can have it through a whole lot of negativity. So when I was young, I always wanted to know, and it's been my prime question for as long as I remember, what is the answer to life, the universe, and everything? And 42 is probably one of the best answers I've ever had.
Douglas Adams again.
But endless expansion is the closest I've got to an idea of where it's going, and it's clearer and simpler than anything else I've ever really discovered. So I think the great thing about it is there needs to always be a bit of mystery, doesn't there? As much as I enjoy my clarity...
Are you suggesting that the mystery is deliberate?
I don't know. I really don't know.
All right. Well, we'll have to leave it there then.
Life, the universe, and everything's the greatest question.
Before we go, I don't know if I've ever given you this chance. I try to do it with everybody, but do you have any ways that you want people to reach out to you and contact you for help with any of the businesses that you have, or any of your ongoing activities to help people understand the value of understanding the stick versus the lack end of the stick and so forth? So
people need to understand what I do. One is I help people with their health through, as I mentioned last time, teaching them the law of attraction and products and exercise classes. And then I have a WhatsApp group for the law of attraction, which I've had for a long time. But it's morphing into working in conjunction with this. I actually asked some of the guys to come on today, but I haven't had any response. I gave them very short notice. Those are really the only two things that I do. So if anybody wants to reach out, louisdesouza@gmail.com is the best place to go.
All right.
And I will have a louisdesouza.com website up and running in the future. And just ask me any question. I'm just open. If I don't know the answer, like Joel constantly says, I will point you in the direction of somebody who knows. Or somebody can help, because I often don't feel that I'm the best person to help an individual, and I know a lot of people, so I can definitely point you in a direction of somebody who would be really great for you. Beth has gone and found a 5-day Jin Shin course in her own town and doing that. I love it when I can help people to the degree that they can help themselves, and then also
yeah, that's good.
There's enough people who need help. I don't need to have people cling to me.
Yeah.
Don't encourage that.
I understand that one completely as well. So, yeah, good stuff. All right. Well, this has been a good discussion. I'm not sure what we're going to be talking about next week, but we'll come up with something good. Maybe we'll just do a Q&A, but let's see what happens.
As I mentioned, Walt, Astrid will come back in 2 weeks' time.
Yep, 2 weeks we'll have Astrid, so she can do more about this.
We'll have her back. And in 2 weeks' time, I've got a whole list of topics, thinking in work mode now. That I'll give you one, and then we can go from there.
All right, sounds good.
I would love it if somebody would just pop online and say, "Louis, I'd love you to talk about this, that, or the other," and literally you can make it almost any.
Well, that's the advantage of a Q&A. A Q&A is basically open it up so that they can ask whatever they want to ask.
So let's do that. Let's make it a Q&A for the next one.
All right.
And anybody can come on and ask any questions. Literally, like Abram says, nothing is out of bounds, nothing is off topic.
Just as long as they understand that it's always the same answer.
Exactly. But it's often very beneficial to get different people to show you how to get to that answer.
Yeah, and we get a lot of good participation when we do that. So, yeah, let's do it next week. All right, have a great week. Q&A. We'll talk to you in a week.
You too.
All right.
Fantastic. Have a great one, Walt.
And we'll see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.